Hello, everyone. Oop. Record video. Go live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transition Tuesdays. For this Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018, I am your host, Russ Williams. I'm glad you could be here today. I know you could have been anywhere in this world today, but you decided to be here with me, and I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. So, welcome to Transition Tuesdays for October 2nd. This is the second day of October. This year is going awfully fast. Man, we got a lot to talk about here today. But before we do that, I just want to take this time to thank my past guests on Transition Tuesdays. I want to really run down the line of who was on the show last, as Jamel is joining us. Hello there. Thank you for joining us, Transition Tuesdays. I want to run down my past guests who was here on prior shows, which I really appreciate. We had Mr. Chris Uncle Smooth Williams and his lovely wife, Leah the Engine Williams. And we got Jerry is joining us as well. They were on the show. We also had legendary New York City high school basketball coach, Coach Ron LeClario. He was great seeing him on the show. We had best-selling author, life skills training developer, and motivational speaker, Miss Aikisha Lanice Mapp. She joined us. She was great on the show as well. We had president of Big Apple Basketball, Mr. Jason Curry. Great talking to him as well. We got Chili D joining us. We got George joining us. We also had basketball entertainer and playground legend, Mr. Blackjack Ryan. He joined us. He was quite enthusiastic. He was quite entertaining. And we had CEO of Conversational Peace, Miss Kelly Tia Glover. She joined us as well. So I'd like to thank all those who came on, allowed me to interview you, which was great. It was great on my part. I really enjoyed having you guys. And I appreciate you for sharing your stories. And I look forward to having you on future Transition Tuesday shows. So again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. As Annette is joining us. What's up, Annette from the D is joining us as well. So we got more guests booked for this coming months, I should say. And so stay tuned. We're going to have some great interviews. We're going to have some great talk about. We're going to talk about a lot of views, a lot of things, and get a chance to really get people's insight on the, things that's going on. And, as I interview my Facebook friends, and it's been a thrill doing it. So I look forward to that. So stay tuned. We got more exciting guest stars joining us throughout the coming weeks here on Transition Tuesday. So today, I got no guest today. I'm going to be flying solo today. So let's do this. Let's transition. That's what we do. We transition. We go transition from here to there and everywhere. So I want to first start off by transitioning to the Brett Kavanaugh interview for the U.S. Supreme Court position there. We want to talk about that. And I propose the question to you all. Do you know of anybody who has been interviewed for a job? It could be any job. But do you know of anybody that could be interviewed for a job, right, and could be totally argumentative with those who really decide his fate on getting the job, and he still might get the job? Do you guys know of anybody in that position like Judge Kavanaugh? I don't know, but I just stating that there. This is really theater. I mean, watching this interview, because that's what it really is. It's not, no one's on trial, but just watching this interview, it makes for great drama. I think you don't have to go out and see the movies or watch TV. You can just watch this and you'll be entertained. So, so we're going to talk about that. And we'll talk about how Dr. Christine Blasey Ford alleged that U.S. Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her in 1982. Dr. Ford testified about her allegations during the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing regarding Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination. Dr. Ford, she stated that she's 100% certain that Judge Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her. So, I mean, it's pretty major, right? Major things going on here. As Garfield Smith, Garfield is joining us too here on Transition Tuesdays. Appreciate you coming on, my man. So, my question for you all, in the midst of this, what's going on with this with this job interview for Supreme Court, being a Supreme Court justice. My question for you all is, in the court of public opinion, because that's what this is, the court of public opinion. Do you feel that Dr. Ford was telling the truth on her testimony? What do you think about that? As Tom is joining us, so that's the question I really ponder. Do you think she was telling the truth in her testimony? To me, personally, I think she was very credible about her story. And I think her story really told a story of many people who haven't come out. I've been fortunate to have a family member approach me after the hearings because it seemed to be very emotional. And it seemed to strike a chord with those people who maybe haven't come up, who were sexually, violated or what have you throughout the years. The person that came out to me was telling me about this really struck a chord with her because, she was sexually assaulted years ago. And hearing the testimony of Dr. Ford really struck a chord with her and allowing people to, tell their truth. So, in terms of Dr. Ford, I think she was very credible. I think personally she was telling the truth, but I want to get your opinion, what you think. And I really think she really, struck a chord for the masses because, this gave people the opportunity to tell their truths and to talk about kind of really form the Me Too movement is in full effect. But, this really takes it to the next level. As you've seen, a lot of people are very emotional, talking about, them too. They were sexually assaulted or what have you years ago. So I think, Dr. Ford really set the precedent and really was that brave soul who talked about and got an opportunity to tell her truth in this case. But I'll leave it up to you guys. What do you think in the court of public opinion? So that's the court that we talk about here. What do you think? Do you think Dr. Ford was telling the truth? I personally think so, but I wanted to get your viewpoint on that. And, a little bit about Judge Kavanaugh. In the midst of all these allegations that was going on, and he came back, to kind of rebuttal what Dr. Ford talked about. It seemed like he had his mind made up, an agenda that he had when he entered the courtroom in front of the senators. He had the agenda. I guess he was gonna, really defend his name, defend his character, because I guess he thought it was in question, and he went about it kind of violently, kind of angry. He seemed very angry in what he was doing. I guess, my take on this, I guess if you consider yourself innocent in any wrongdoings, I guess you're going to defend yourself at the highest level. And that's what it seemed like he did. He seemed like he was, very adamant of defending his character, because I guess his character was in judgment here. And, he really came out strong and really aggressive, aggressive than what we saw in the past with him. Which was pretty kind of shocking and kind of, I don't know. It's I want to get your viewpoints on it, but he came off rather aggressive, rather angrily about the allegations against him. As Tom is joining us, so my question is, what do you think that? Do you think that Judge Kavanaugh should be appointed to the Supreme Court after his, after this, I guess when the FBI investigation comes out or their findings that they're going to have? What do you think? Do you think Judge Kavanaugh, should he still be appointed? I know they're going through stuff with the FBI and they're getting testimony of people who were, in the room, I guess, in the alleged attack from Kavanaugh on Dr. Ford. Do you think, do you still think when it's all said and done, do you still think he should be appointed on the Supreme Court? That's a great question to ask. So that's why I ask it to you all. What do you think? As Chris is joining us, what's up, Chris? So yeah, that's the question. But to me, it's pretty alarming, that with Judge Kavanaugh, when it's all said and done, I know he was trying to, protect his character, and a lot of things are coming out about his character, about, him being, I guess he came off as being a choir boy, but it turns out that I guess he was an excessive drinker. Dr. Ford mentioned that once she, as soon as she took the stand, she was testifying. She talked about that particular incident. He was, really drunk. Him and the other gentleman was really I think his name was Mark Judge. I think they both came into the gathering drunk. So that comes into play about him drinking, and that's coming into play. His former classmates at Yale saying he tend to get belligerently drunk. Some people have said he's as blacked out and maybe couldn't remember things because of excessive drinking. Drinking games, some games that Judge Kavanaugh said it was just drinking games, but people thinks it was a sexual type of games and stuff in his yearbook, and but it all goes back to his character and drinking. And if he was telling the truth, under oath, and if he was lying about it, his character will come into question as well. But again, I'm just throwing it out to the masses out there. Do you think Judge Kavanaugh, when it's all said and done, should he still be appointed? Based on the things that happened in the past, should he still be appointed to the Supreme Court, the highest job in the land? Which this is taking place here. What do you think on that? And another question I had was, before we get into that one, is, do you think his behavior in front of the Senate and the world justify him to be appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court? That's another question as well. As Karen is joining us. What's up, Karen? So yeah, these things, his behavior was kind of shocking to me. He was very confrontational to, the Senate members. He had a confrontation with one of the Senate members saying, have you ever blacked out? What's your drink of choice? He likes beer. That's obvious, from the Saturday Night Live skits, about the beer and the calendar situation and all that stuff. A lot of stuff, a lot of his question, his character comes into question. And, will he be able to be impartial, if he's on Supreme Court? And it looks like the tack that he took it was more politically based. I mean, here's a guy who I think, I would be under the impression that you have to be impartial if you're going to be a Supreme Court judge. But he just came in and just attacking the Democrats, saying that, this is retribution for, this circus here, turning this into the circus, and the Democrats are responsible for it. The Clintons are responsible for it. He went all the way back to Bill Clinton, forget Hillary Clinton, but he went back to Bill Clinton, the Clintons, for them giving this kind of like a witch hunt to getting them off the case. And for me, I think that, he felt, in a way, it seems like he feels like there's a sense of entitlement, that he's entitled to have this job, even in his behavior. It seemed like he was, talking about how dare Senate, question him. I'm entitled to this position. So, that's maybe it's a sense of entitlement this guy feels. And as Chris says, I think he blew it. Yeah, well, we'll see, Chris, because, the Senate, they have to vote on it. And it seems like before, this FBI probe is going to get involved, it seems like they already made up their minds of what they want to do. So you just never know. He kind of blew it on the stand, by his acting irrational. But I guess when it comes to Senate members, maybe people got their minds already made up. It doesn't even matter about this investigation. This could just be a formality type of deal. But, we'll have to see, Chris, if he did blow it. I think in public opinion, I think he did blow it. But most importantly, those people voting in the Senate, those people have the fate of Judge Kavanaugh, in their hands. And again, some people might have their minds made up in what they're going to do. I just hope they take into consideration about the testimony of Dr. Ford. Again, she seemed credible. I got no stake in the game, but, I think she seemed credible. I think she seemed believable. And hopefully those people in the Senate will think the same way, too. Just being, impartial out of it. But, what's right is what's right. And as Leah is joining us, what's up, Leah? And, what's right is what's right. And hopefully they'll take a look at all the evidence before they make a decision, because this is an important decision. You know, somebody having this lifelong job on the Supreme Court, and it takes character, you know, to be on the Supreme Court. Stephanie is joining us, and we got JB the Third joining us as well. And Leah says, I don't think his demeanor is fit for Supreme Court justice. Yeah, I agree with you, Leah, on that. You know, the demeanor he showed in that courtroom, you know, the stance that he took. Yeah, I don't think it's fitting, and you know, for Supreme Court justice. But again, you know, it's in the hands of those, you know, those Senate members who will be getting the information from the FBI probe. Again, he's not on trial here, but you know, this could be a very very important, you know, thing if he goes on to Supreme Court justice. You know, because it's all about the character of a person, and this person is going to be voting on, you know, important things in our society. And I think, you know, if he goes on to Supreme Court justice, I think this sets the bad precedent. I think we'll be, you know, I think, well, my belief is this. My belief is if he does go on, it sets the wrong precedent. And, you know, for those people who've come out who are sexually abused, and, you know, it sets the precedent that, you know, they didn't believe that. They didn't believe that story. They didn't believe her particular story. And that sets a bad precedent for everybody involved. So, you know, in actuality, you know, Americans, we lose if that's the case, if he does go on. That's just my personal belief. Want to know what you believe? And Leah believes, you know, she thinks that his demeanor is, you know, don't think his demeanor is fit for Supreme Court justice. Yep, I agree. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? So, you know, and another thing I want to talk about was about Judge Kavanaugh. He really made it a political thing, you know, which, you know, I would be under the impression that you have to be impartial, you know, in your beliefs and what have you. But it seems to be split, you know, company line. Like, you know, if you're a Republican, you're probably going to go with Kavanaugh, you know, what have you, things such on nature. Karen says, as a Supreme Court justice, you need to keep your composure no matter what. He didn't. I agree, Karen. Just like Leah said, too. You know, I agree about demeanor, about your composure. You know what I mean? I don't know how he was as a judge in the past, but I guess, you know, did this really show his true colors by him coming out in such a way? And it will really be damaging if, you know, like I mentioned earlier, you know, what person do you know is able to, you know, be argumentative and be very, you know, the demeanor in which they showed off to the Senate members and actually get the job? I mean, you're not going to find that anywhere else. You won't find that if you're going to be interviewing for a manager at Target, you know what I mean? Not knocking Target or fast food place. You know what I mean? That just doesn't happen. If you knock the people that have your fate in your hands, and you still have the opportunity to get the job that you had, you know? As Chris said, he likes beer. Yeah, you know, Chris, that really came out. That really came out that he likes beer. I mean, that was no, you know, people like beer, and I would say maybe he had a couple of few before he took that, you know, before he you know, gave that rebuttal to Dr. Ford's testimony of him. I don't know. Who knows? Yep. See, like he does like beer. He likes to drink excessively, even though it was back in the days during that time. You know what I mean? But a lot can tell a lot about, you know, somebody who does things, you know, excessive, you know, not knocking beer. I like to drink socially too. But I'm not being interviewed for, you know, being a Supreme Court member. So, but yeah, Chris, he does like beer. We'll see if that, you know, if that will be held against him, you know what I mean? And especially in that. But I think the thing about the beer still, and, you know, him maybe blacking out and not remembering things, you know what I mean? And him saying that, you know, he's never blacked out before. Again, that might just go back to his character. So, you know, that might seal his fate. Because it's all about the character here that we're talking about. You know, that's the thing in question. His character. You know, not so much the beer or what have you. His character and his composure and his demeanor to be a Supreme Court justice. I think that's what's the most important thing here. As Cliff is watching us as well. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. I know they're going to believe they're going to be voting on Friday. I don't think it's enough time for the FBI to gather data or interview some people and give their findings to the Senate before Friday. I mean, to me personally, I think it might be like a formality that they're doing it just to appease. I know Senator Flake. I had a confrontation in the elevator with two ladies who they were sexually assaulted at one time, and he was just saying, you have the power to make this right. So he in turn, lobbied the Senate members and the judiciary court and committee, and just said, hey, look, we should take a week's time to have the FBI get some, investigate this process. Could this be a formality? Maybe they don't have enough votes, the Republicans, to get that done. But we shall see. Is a week's enough time? I don't know. I don't really know. But we shall see. We shall see. So again, this makes for great drama. You know what I mean? And the funny thing about it is, with all this said and done, the way Judge Kavanaugh came in the room, I'm willing to believe that Judge Kavanaugh got his marching orders to do such a thing from number 45 himself. It seemed like he took the stance of, just denying and just be on the attack mode. So maybe he took a playbook from or a page from number 45 to do so. So again, we'll see. We'll see what goes on with this, and stay tuned. It's great theater. So next, guys, I want to transition to Kanye West, Mr. Kanye West's appearance on Saturday Night Live. Now, Mr. Kanye West is in the building. Man, a couple of things about Kanye West. Well, this week's on Saturday Night Live, he was booed on stage. He was booed live. He was, again seen wearing that Make America Great Again, the MAGA hat. So he had the MAGA hat on, so he's booed. He claims backstage he was being bullied backstage for wearing a MAGA hat. I know guys like Swiss Beats has come out and said he wasn't bullied. They're just not rocking what he's doing. I mean, just aligning himself with number 45. And again, number 45 pledged his allegiance to him. Tweeted about Kanye West, and he's still with him and everything like that. He praises him. It's kind of comical to me personally. So, do you think, and the question I have for everybody is, do you think, should we take Kanye West seriously for his political and social views? Like, at this point in time, should we take Kanye West seriously about his political views and his social views? I mean, from the slavery is a choice comment to, I know he's talking about the 13th Amendment. I know he's talking about that. Should we at this time take Kanye West seriously, or should we just listen to the music? So, Kanye West, should you just put out music at this time? Or, and I would say this, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for to get advice or political advice or even social advice for Kanye West, maybe you should look elsewhere. I don't think you should be looking towards Kanye West. I think, Kanye West is a great musician. I love him, one of my favorite rappers, and I stress rappers. So if I'm interested in hearing really good music, maybe in the past, because right now some of the stuff he has now isn't the best, but I look to Kanye West on the music side, not so much if I want to hear about political views or social views from Kanye West. I think, and I recommend to others, that you look elsewhere. As Chris says, the Kardashians screwed him up. I don't know, Smooth. That Kardashian curse might be real. That might be real. Take a look at Lamar Odom. You saw what happened there. I mean, thank God he's alive. Talk about it, but that could be real. James Harden was dating a Kardashian, but he got out of that. He got out of there, and then next thing you know, he's MVP of the league. I don't know. Hey, I don't know. That the Kardashian, that curse could be real. That curse can be real. So we have to see, man. The Kardashians screwed him up. I don't know. But that curse thing could be real. I know you have, and speaking, Smooth, and speaking of you got Ben Simmons was dating a Kardashian or Jenner. I guess they're they're aligned, I guess. But he recently broke up with her, so he might have a productive year. He might have an all-star year now because of that. So stay tuned for that. So that Kardashian curse might be real. You know what I mean? But in terms of Kanye West, I don't know. It talks a lot about mental illness. A lot of times he's talking about he's off his meds, and he talked about in the Saturday Night Live rant. He's off his meds, and he's being bullied for wearing the hats and aligning himself with number 45. At this time, I don't know. Should we take him seriously? His comments. Is he on meds? Is he off meds? Is something going on? Something's going on there. But should we take him seriously? And my advice to you all is anything political, anything social, I don't think we should look to Mr. Kanye West for that. I think there's other people that could shed some positive light on the subjects of political, political things or social issues. Like take a Colin Kaepernick or for example, but maybe a Kanye West. Nah, let's just stick to the music. You know what I mean? Stick to the music. Yep. And has the shock value of Kanye West, has that worn off? Because it seems like I don't know. Maybe I know he aligned himself with number 45, but with the hats and the Magna hats and all that stuff. But has the shock value worn off? Has it grown tiresome for people out there? For me, it has. For me personally. So that's like when stuff comes out about him and number 45 and wearing Magna hats, it really doesn't affect me because the shock value has worn off for me. But what about for you? Do you think the shock value has worn off for you in terms of Mr. Kanye West? So we got to really stay tuned. Stay tuned with Kanye West. You know what I mean? And just Kanye West, just put out some good music, man. That's what you're known for. That's what we vibe to. So just put out some good music. Leave the political stuff to those pundits who take care of those things. That would be my advice to me, to you, Kanye West, Mr. West in the building. Leave it up to those people, those pundits who deal with political affairs and those people who deal with social issues. Leave it to them. You put out good music. That's what I say about that. Now, let's transition to the transition quote, which we have every week. And this one is a great one. It goes a little something like this. Times of transition are strenuous, but I love them. They are an opportunity to rethink priorities and be intentional about new habits. And this was said by Miss Christian Armstrong. This transition quote, which is a good one here. Very good one. Very, very good one. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to keep this one short this week. But if we were able to make you laugh, we were able to make you think, or we were able to make you smile during this broadcast here on Transition Tuesdays, I feel that you have accomplished something major today. And that's a great thing. That's really a great thing. And before we leave, I just want to say a couple of things. I just want to shout out my my youngest daughter, Anissa, who this Saturday, she's going to be traveling to France with her 8th grade classmates. She's part of the French Immersion Department at Audubon Charter School in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I'm hoping, and I hope, you guys really pray for my daughter, pray for our classmates, and pray for our chaperones. And so that way they can have safe travels on their way to France. They'll be there for 2 weeks. So I know my daughter's excited about that. And I'm wishing her safe travels there. So that's the one thing I wanted to straight. The second thing was, want to give a happy belated birthday to my daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, my oldest daughter, Taya. Taya, a.k.a. Taya the Great, as I call her. And I'm really asking for you guys, me as a father of 2 teenage daughters, I want you to pray for me. Pray for me because, it's been kind of tough, having 2 teenage daughters. It's tough, but pray for me. Pray for Mr. Russ here. I would really appreciate that. As Chris says, good stuff. Prayers up. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. As Ross is watching us as well. So, I hope you guys pray for me as having 2 teenage daughters. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited for those, my 2 daughters. And, my daughter's going to have a great time. And if you see this picture right here, this picture is a picture that my daughter drew when she was like 11 or 12 years old. She painted this painting, which I have in a broadcast every week here. So, shout out to my daughter friend's trip. She's going to have a great time. And Taya for a happy 17th birthday. I appreciate that. As John is watching us as well. Yes. As Ross says, God is good. Yup, prayers going up. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Ross. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, guys, as we say in parting, as we always do at this time, as we say in parting, happy transitioning. We'll speak to you soon. And again, look out for next week and the weeks to come. We're going to have more exciting guests, special guest stars, great interviews. We're going to keep vibing. We're going to keep the transition talk alive. So we'll see you then. Talk to you soon.